together so that they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that they can try things. Nick and Marcus doing a podcast so that they can try this.
Hello! Oh my God! And welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together each week to talk about media, their favorite things. I'm distracted. For those of you listening at home, I'll tell you why I'm distracted. It's because Nick is the fanciest boy I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God. What is that outfit? It's
Lord
good.
Bodegas. A gentleman always comes prepared for such eccentric moments at their most highest of attire.
Oh God, that's so good. Just so everyone knows, I am also drinking tea. It's just from a big ass cup.
The Regency has taught me to better eloquent myself for those manners of yes, you understand. That's nice. Pinky up.
Yeah,
pinky up,
pinky
sir.
up, pinky up, please.
Hello, my fellow gentlemen and ladies and lords out there. This is Now Try This, where your gentleman Nick, that is me, you may call me Lord Nieves, and my fellow companion here, Marcus, that is Lord Bodegas, delve into a world that we challenge each other to experience that the other one is passionate about. Now, this week, I have challenged my dear Lord Bodegas over here to experience the wonderful Shonda Rhimes show Bridgerton. But before we get to that, please, you can come and check us out.
I'm running a fucking timer because I want to see how long you keep this bit up. Honestly, how long are we? 3 minutes in?
My dear man, I was just trying to elaborate to our fine fans out there how best to communicate with us past the point of this podcast. Now, there are dozens of different ways to do that. One is on Twitter and Instagram at NowTryThisCast, but the one we are most excited about is patreon.com/NowTryThis. The reason being, we have formed a collective community for you all to experience us at our finest and our fanciest.
Wow. That was beautiful.
The wonderful thing about said Patreon is you are able to influence our challenges. Now, if you think, these fine gentlemen, I would love for them to experience something that I love, well, you can do that. You become a patron and you can vote on what we do every first Thursday of the month.
Yes, you can. And last episode, we did Cabaret. You can go into the archives and check that one out. It is available for streaming on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and also on YouTube, too. We upload the stream over there after a couple weeks.
But if all of that you find is just far beyond your reach at the present moment, the one thing that we do ask that you do is leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Now, we have some lovely people that have done so already. For example, Love Audible. This one's very nice, Lord Bodegas. Are you ready? Love Audible said, 2 friends trying things, having fun. Welcome back with 15 exclamation points. I started with Yuri on Ice. Episode quite a while ago. I was hooked. These guys are unpolished. Well, I beg to differ. Goodness. You'll hear interesting takes on pop culture properties you love/hate and might find a new obsession based on their recommendation. Enjoy. Love Audible, thank you so much for that review, and we are happy to be back.
Nick, can you see me on the stream?
You have, I don't know. You have frozen. No, you are blacked out.
Cool, that's awesome. Well, keep going.
Well, no, we can hold but a moment. We will figure out this minor transgression by technology that is trying to upend our feet.
Hey, we're back. Look at that. We fixed it. It only took like 20 minutes. I'm sorry.
Good regards and salutations to all who have endured this painstaking moment of our entertaining stream.
I'm just going to sit and smile as pretty as possible for everyone. I want to be the belle of the ball.
Now, let me try to go right back into what we were saying, so my edit later is nice and clean. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, you were reading those reviews, right? Don't we have another one?
Yes, we have another review as well. This one is 5 stars from Meddy's Comet. It is titled Super Funny. I dated Nick once, and he dumped me a month ago. But this podcast was so entertaining that I kept listening. 5 stars. Thank you, Meddy's Comet, for the warm words.
Oh man, that was good. That was worth it.
But we persevere on. Marcus,
Hold on.
what are we
'cause
doing today? Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
This episode is about love, is about passion, and it is very funny that someone you dated left a review.
Now, Marcus,
Okay, Nick.
Lord
Okay.
Berdegas, you have a question to ask me?
No, I was to say let's get started. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk about
How
this
do we get
episode.
started? You asked me a question.
Nick, Sir Nicholas of
Ooh.
Manhattan, of New York City.
Ah,
Why
the
did you
island.
bequeath the show upon your good friend, Lord Berdegas?
Lord Berdegas, I often trounce through my day-to-day affairs, wondering what kind of experience I can give to my fellow companion, Lord Berdegas. As such, a fortnight ago, I was experiencing a new show from one of my favorite creators, Shonda Rhimes. Now, this show's trailer prompted me to have certain feelings of austerity towards Jane Austen and Grey's Anatomy, and I described it as a Taylor Swift music video come to life, and indeed, I was not disappointed. I devoured this experience of all 8 of these episodes post-haste, all within 2 days. I don't know the fancy way to say 2 days. 2 days. 2 weeks
2
is
days.
a fort hour. All in a fort hour.
That's the
And
math on that.
And while I do not believe they stick the landing, they end on a note that I am very excited to see where they go. Now, the reason I give it to you, my good sir, is so that you may experience something that we have never talked about: period dramas. It is not something in our friendship we've ever discussed, but Mr. Berdegas, speaking of romantic entanglements, it is because of an ex that I watch these kinds of things.
Mhm.
You could probably guess which one, but I was forced to watch lots of British things, and there was a show on Netflix called Wives and Daughters or something like that
Uh-huh.
I basically needed to keep our relationship going because she was mad I was not watching any of her things.
What is Wives and Daughters about? Is it a
I forget-
drama or
it's
is
something
it
like
like a
that.
reality
It's-
show?
No, it's basically this without the fun.
Oh, that sounds great.
Less fun and less sex. It was this.
Okay.
You know those dry moments of the show where you're like, I could take or leave this.
Yeah.
I would like to get to the hijinks. It's
Yeah, yeah.
that. Just that. But there are emotions that run high and certain elements of the upper echelon of society that are interesting that I do enjoy. I do love Pride and Prejudice, the Keira Knightley version. That soundtrack is one that I often listen to. I watched the newest Jane Austen movie, Emma, with Anya Taylor-Joy. Speaking of, you can go check out our Queen's Gambit episode where we really dive into how much we enjoy her acting.
Yes. Always be
Oh,
plugging. Check
Marcus,
it
I
out.
think that's all. That's all I got. The bit will come 8:30. That's how long it lasts.
Well, I mean, you were recharged
It'll
by
come
my
back.
technical difficulties. You got a little
come
bit
back.
more out of it. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting. Maybe
Yeah,
during
thank
the
you so much.
game time.
It'll come back. Yeah.
Nick,
I
when you
have
give
my
me the
teacup, by
show-
the way.
when you give
Oh
me the
yes,
show,
Lord Berdegas, please explain where you were at and what your experience was and what you thought of this challenge, Bridgerton.
I kind of heard about the show, but I didn't know anything about it. I know my girlfriend Darren is very into romance novels and rom-coms and all that stuff, and so she
Shout
was
out one time.
excited. She's excited to check out this show, and but for some reason we weren't just getting to it quite yet.
Probably
And-
because I texted her 2 weeks ago and told her not to.
That's probably why. so I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I dodged a bullet. Maybe I don't actually have to watch this show. And then you come along and you ruin my whole fucking week by giving me this trash show. But I was excited. I'm open. I feel like at the beginning of this podcast, I was definitely in the camp of I do not like rom-coms. That was like just, it wasn't a part of my personality per se, but it was definitely something that I would
you were
say if you
describing-
asked me.
You were describing the great character growth of you on this podcast.
I am.
Like, while I think my character growth is experiencing cultural landmarks that, for whatever reason, I just missed because I didn't have enough friends or a family that loved me enough to show me these things.
Sure.
For whatever reason, whatever. But your journey on this show, if you go all the way back to The Notebook and Gilmore Girls and all the Brown and Runaway Bride, I am teaching you how to love, Mark.
I mean, that is kind of just my overall character arc as a person. I feel like slowly I'm learning to love and be
and
loved.
I'm just a little tiny part.
You are a part of that. But I am getting to experience rom-coms, and also like from a place where I'm not miserable as a person, which is very good. It's hard to enjoy rom-coms when you are just not in a good place. I feel like it just doesn't work.
True. I don't watch romance films to get out of a funk. I watch them to continue a good mood, to like stay on that high. That's a good point. I like that.
But yeah, so I've been open. My mind is open. About Time. I love every time I see the little like thumbnail on Netflix. I'm like, I love that movie, and I point it out to whoever's listening.
It's a great film.
It's a great
guys.
Great
if you want to
movie.
listen to Marcus's reaction, please go check out that episode.
So I have an open mind, and now going into Bridgerton, I was like, okay, I don't really watch Regency romance things, but I am excited to dive into it.
Now, before we start talking about the show, I feel like you hit something that I wanted to ask you about. And I feel like now that we're talking about your relationship with love and your ability to do so, to romance and to love, I think something that would be really useful to the audience is to know what kind of person you go after. Which brings us to today's game, which is called Tinderton.
Oh no. I'm gonna hit the game theme now.
Roll the clip!
There you go.
Now try this trivia. Now try this trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia. Now trivia this.
Is that your reaction to it?
That was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. Oh my god. Wow.
I love that little intro so much. It makes me so happy. It's very short, it's the perfect amount for an intro. Also, shout out to our friend Andrew who worked on the intro song.
Oh, I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear it?
I'm really excited to listen to it later.
Okay, later when you'll have it.
Shout out
very
one time.
Good. Shout out
that's so good. Wow. Thank you for doing that. Marcus, this game is called Tinderton. # thank you next.
Okay.
We are going to go through 10 eligible bachelors and bachelorettes and see what you're into. So the point of this game is you will guess whose dating profile. What?
How do I get points?
This game isn't about points, Marcus. There is a game aspect. You will have to guess whose profile they are from the show. However, the more crucial thing is to pick one of these 10 people to go on a date with.
Okay.
And Marcus, I feel like I've done you a great disservice, okay?
I don't have to actually go on a date with one of these people, right?
No, you do. And I've set you up here in a situation where you have to go on a date with one of these people that's all fancy. I'm over here being too fancy. You're over there looking like a bum. Marcus, go ahead and throw that jacket that's under the bed so you can look nice and dapper for these dates.
What jacket?
The jacket that's under your bed right now.
Open during pod. There's a note that says open during podcast under my bed. Oh my god! What is this?
It's a fancy boy jacket.
Hold on, let me hold it to the camera. For those of you listening at home, Nick has somehow hidden of the fanciest of jackets underneath my bed. I don't know how you did that, but that's weird. I mean, I can guess you told Tara to help you, but that is crazy.
You'll never know how.
Oh my god! Hold on.
All right, Lord Bedigas, how do you feel now that you've ascended to the level of lordship that you deserve?
I feel fancy.
Well, I hope you're ready to be fancy on these dates.
Okay, I'm ready.
Tinderton, thank you next. Let's look at these prompts for number 1 over here.
Okay.
Their most recent active. Now I use prompts from Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge for these.
Okay, sure, totally.
All right. Now, I need you to guess who these people are, but more importantly, I want to know how you feel, what your go-to instinct is for the people, if you're swiping right, if you're swiping left, how you feel. I want to get in your head before we get into the show, Marcus.
Okay.
Most recent act of kindness.
Oh, okay.
I recently saved a pig from being slaughtered. I so feel for those less fortunate than I.
It's sweet, but I want to swipe right because I want to know more about the pig and what happened. And also, like, how do you permanently save a pig from being slaughtered? Because I feel like you can temporarily save a pig from being slaughtered, but unless you're willing to put in the time and the investment, that seems like a dumb thing to have done. But I do want to know the story of the pig and the pig's name. So,
Well, two things. You're spiraling. But more importantly, now I know that when you're on a dating app, you are swiping for those pets. Ladies out there who got a swipe in the past from Marcus back here and they never got a response, know that it was because of your pet and he was not interested in you.
that's fair. That makes sense.
Who do you think this kind person is?
Is it a person from the show?
Yes.
Oh, recently saved the pig from being slaughtered. Was it Eloise Bridgerton?
No, you get 2 points for doing it on the first guess, but you do get a second guess. That
A
is
second
not who
guess?
this is.
Penelope Featherington.
Ooh, unfortunately, neither of those are correct. But she does get a swipe right. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, lucky for you, we got good old Daphne Bridgerton
Oh,
here.
it's Daphne.
Now, some of these are directly from the show, but I may or may not have had to take in a couple liberties on what these people might have to say on a modern day dating app. I did the best I can. Good luck
Okay.
in the game.
Okay.
Next, I am overly competitive. Oh, the very traditional overly competitive on a dating profile.
Okay.
I think I have overly competitive on my dating profile. Ugh. Thank God they didn't say everything, though, right?
Yeah.
I'm overly competitive with no one. I am the standard at which this regency should aspire to be like. Also, croquet.
Are these all women from the show?
I don't know how to respond to that question. I don't
Okay.
see the.
You don't see
don't know.
gender.
I don't know how these people identify. You'll have to figure it out.
I don't see gender. I don't see anything. Okay, that's fair, I guess. Is this Queen Charlotte?
It is not Queen Charlotte. Why does this supposed to make you feel? How are you swiping at this person?
Oh, I'm swiping left because this person seems very boring, and I hate the overly competitive line. It's like just kind of cringy.
Yeah, I agree, but I do use it as a nice, not intense way to explain that I'm a nerd, because I'll put a couple nerdy things in there. You know?
Oh yeah, because I'm overly competitive with board games, and I get that.
Or you name a specific one. Like I just saw a girl. I remember seeing a girl who was like, I'm overly competitive about Settlers of Catan. Great. I know that you're a nerd. I know you like playing board games. It's
That's
a little
smart.
indie. You know, there's a way to
I'm
do
just not competitive at all, so I feel like it's just a lie and a way for
I know,
me
it's
to
very-
work in.
It's very
that
frustrating
I'm
sometimes.
nerdy. I am going to try. Should aspire. So someone who thinks they're fancier than they are, maybe. So it's gonna be the head Featherington lady. What's
Lady
her name?
Featherton?
Yeah.
Lady Featherton? No, it is
okay.
Lady Danbury.
Oh, I like her.
Ugh. Yeah, she's great.
Okay.
1813 had me realize I am indeed as amazing as I've always assumed to be. Also, that people in London are easy to manipulate.
Oh my god.
Right out there with the BDE.
Who is manipulative? I only watched one episode. I don't think I saw anybody that was manipulative other than Nigel, who was a dick, and I don't think he was manipulative. He was just creepy. Let's see. Who's playing the Game of Thrones in this show? Oh, Whistledown.
It is not Lady Whistledown.
Ah, okay.
Well, how do you feel? Now, how do you feel about this raisenness? Are you swiping right? Are you interested? Have they piqued your interest a little bit?
I am swiping left. One, she's crazy and she thinks she lives in the year 1813. I am not about that life. And also, two, she says people are easy to manipulate. And granted, she does specify in London, so maybe it's not a worldwide thing. Maybe she just really hates people from London. But I'm gonna say swipe left.
Oh, well, unfortunately, you did not get a date with Simon Bassett, the Duke.
That was
Hastings.
gonna be my guess. I was thinking him, but he seemed kind.
Sometimes people's words don't match their actions, Marcus. Let this lesson be learned to you.
Or sometimes Nick had to write up a description, and he was.
No, that is how he talks. He talks like that. He talks like that. He does. You know
Okay.
he does.
Yes.
He's very pompous, but you can just tell right away there's more.
Yeah.
Quickest way to my heart is through my mother. She is a lovely woman whose ideals are quite present in my own manners. I am excited for her to live with us.
This lady is way too attached to her mom, which is just bad. Just not.
No, maybe it
Not
means
about
that
that.
there's a loving family and they just think, family's important. You don't
I
want
guess
to
so.
shout out to your moms. You don't want your mom to live with you once you find romance.
I guess it is. I guess it isn't as weird. I guess if a guy wrote that, that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe. I guess women are allowed to be close to their moms, but I don't know. I feel like I'm not that close with my. I'm kind of close to my mom, but so it's just weird to me. I'm like, okay, I understand if you put family values.
You
Like,
can be close with your mom and
appreciate
I want her to come
family.
hang out.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't want someone who's going to be like with their mom all the time. Then there's no room for me and my love.
Oh,
I
so
also-
Marcus is a selfish lover that needs time and attention.
100%. I also recently watched this thing where like it was on YouTube and it was about like moms and daughters who are way too close and they shower together and they do everything together. And it was gross. And that's what it's coming to mind when you put that in your profile. So I'm swiping left.
Gross. All right, well, we got to swipe left, but who do we think this is?
Who's very close with their mom? God, based on the first episode, I don't think anybody was that close with their mom. Let's see, Penelope Featherington.
Do you got another guess?
I'm going to guess one of the other Featherington sisters who don't seem to have any personality whatsoever.
It's Nigel.
Oh, Nigel! God, what a
You met his
bitch.
mother in the second or third episode, and you understand.
I
right
hate
away.
that guy.
This is how this went. Yeah, well, look at that face. That's a face only a mother could love.
I when he showed up, I was like, he looks like the son of the rat guy from Harry Potter.
Yes, that is what he looks like. Recent bathtub thought. I do not understand how so many people find themselves alone. I show up and receive everything I would like. Always.
See, that I would have thought was the Duke, maybe.
Well, maybe your grasp of the show is just not as good as mine.
I mean, based on my one episode, it's probably not. Let's go with Anthony Bridgerton.
That is incorrect. You have another guess?
Colin Bridgerton?
It's the Queen.
Oh, the Queen.
It's the Queen.
Oh my
You swiping
God,
left
I'm
or you swiping right on the Queen?
I'm swiping left on the Queen.
But you get to play with that
Spoiled.
dog. You get
Spoiled
to
AF.
You get to
No.
hang out.
No, I grew up too poor. I can't be with someone who's like used to getting everything they want. You know what I mean? It doesn't translate over to me getting whatever I want because I'm with them. It's
That's
not.
fair. Look at
I need
all
a
these
little
things
bit
we're
of
finding
struggle.
out. Marcus, the next time
Sure.
you... Never mind. I was going to say the next time you go on a date with someone,
You're gonna
but
say the
you
next
never
time
will.
you're single? No.
No, I not specifically
never
not single
again.
because that wasn't in my head. I was thinking about a date.
Oh, okay.
But then
Got
I
it,
realized,
got it.
like, why would he go on a date? Ah!
It's true.
Whoops. I went to the end. I knew I was going to screw something up. Hold on.
My girlfriend is in the chat and she said, Nick, I swear to God.
Well, I was trying to say that this is like a testament and you can give this to people like, this is what I feel about women, but I feel like the person that you would need to send that to knows this, knows how you feel. You should not, let me dig myself out of this hole. You should not court me. That is all. That is the statement. Your time will be much better spent on other affairs.
Oh, that's Penelope Featherington.
Oh my
Low self-esteem?
God.
Yes.
Wow. First hit. First hit of the game.
I'm gonna swipe right because swipe left. She's 17. No, thank you. Did you
I thought
know
about
that
changing the age just so you would have a chance, but I didn't want to
That's
lie
fair.
to you. I didn't want to honey trap you.
I'm swiping left.
Did I know they're 30?
She's
Her and
34 years old.
And Eloise is like 32 or something.
Yeah. But the actress
Nuts.
for Penelope is crazy because when I was watching the show, I looked at all the girls and I was like, these are all infant babies. I know the show's about sex. I don't want to watch them have sex. That's gross to me. Please, no, thank you. And then I was looking up all their ages to like make myself feel better. Be like,
Yeah.
okay,
They're
I
all
am
30
not
or above.
watching something offensive happening. But she's
Yeah.
34. She's like the oldest of them.
If I were the queen, I would immediately get rid of this incessant need of marriage and allow women to be truly independent.
That's Eloise Bridgerton,
Oh my God, you're such...
my favorite one. I'm swiping
Oh,
right.
she's my favorite. Oh, we got to swipe right on Eloise. Advice to my younger self. Don't believe the words of a lord. They will always have allegiances beyond what you may offer them.
Don't believe the words of a lord. Who's
Mm.
who doesn't trust lords?
Who's been hurt?
Who's been hurt pretty hardcore?
And how can you help them recover, Mark?
that's Sienna Rosso.
Oh my God, Marcus. You are on a streak, sir. How are we feeling about Sienna? Now, she has abandonment issues, but how do we feel?
I feel like she is not over her ex, and I don't want to be a part of that. You know, like go out, do your growth, do your searching, have your fun, and then when you're ready, come back.
Okay, so we're swiping left. Sorry, Sienna. Another man has dishonored you.
No, she doesn't have to know about it. Okay.
In my friend group, I am the only one. Friends are for those who will never be able to enjoy their own company. Less present, less risk of betrayal.
Oh my God.
Another person that has been hurt.
I have no friends?
Yeah, who has no friends?
Who has no friends? Let's see.
Marcus, who has no friends?
It's me. Okay. I'm gonna say Marina Thompson.
Ugh. You are finally getting the heads of these
I got the
characters.
I got the hang of it.
Now, this is a kind of a sad post. Are we swiping left or right?
She seems super lonely.
Are you into that? Or?
Yeah, am I into that? I think that she needs to go out there and make some friends and stuff. And I feel like if you enter into a relationship with someone who's like that and super lonely, then they just become really clingy because you're their only friend. Then they join your friend group, and then they don't really have their own friends and their own hobbies and stuff, you know?
Controversial opinion. This is the last one, I guess. Family is everything. If you are not prepared to sacrifice certain kinds of fleeting whimsy for them, you are no gentleman.
This is Anthony Bridgerton.
Oh my God. Nailed it!
Yes!
You are in this guy's head.
I am killing
baby.
It.
Now, are you swiping left or right on Mr. Anthony?
Family is everything.
Count.
It's so dramatic of a post. I respect him for it, and I think I'm swiping right. I want to see what he got.
Okay, now Marcus.
I've also seen him shirtless, so I'm swiping right.
He's very attractive.
Yes.
I watched a YouTube video with him singing a Broadway song, and he's also very good singer.
That's unfair.
Right. Marcus, you've only swiped right for two people. Anthony and Eloise. So you have swiped right to two people. I will allow you to make one change if you want it, but out of all these people, you need to make one choice for who you would like to enter a relationship with.
Okay. I'm going
now,
with
it doesn't have to be
Eloise.
someone you swipe right with. Are you sure about that?
I'm sure. Eloise.
Marcus, I was so close to picking Eloise as your choice because obviously the next slide is me shooting my shot.
Yeah.
But I thought you would get hung up on the 17 thing. So I thought you would have picked Sienna. Marcus, I think it's about time we got to the show.
An hour into technical difficulties and pre-podcast bullshit.
Well, now that we know where you're at, I feel like we could really get into your head about your experience watching this show. Marcus, start at the beginning.
Oh, no. The beginning?
Yes.
So
One day in the Bronx when I was just a wee little fetus.
So the show takes place in the year 1813. And it starts off showing you, what is the place called? Grosvenor Square, whatever the hell.
Marcus, I have no idea what the name of the place is. Unimportant information.
I posted it in the tweet, so follow us and you can tell us. And you just you're first showing the Featherington family as they're getting ready for, I don't know what the event is called necessarily, but it is
presentation.
A presentation of your children
that they're ready for marriage.
It's like bringing the pigs to market, essentially.
It's the start of the season. It's the start of the betrothal season.
100%, yes. So they are bringing their pigs to market, and the queen is judging all of them. So you see the Featherington family getting ready, and they are not as rich, not as hot as the next family that they show, which are the Bridgertons.
It's so funny because they're like not unattractive, but like the girls or the mom, like they're not unattractive people, but like they make them so gaudy, right? The
Yeah.
dresses and the
Yeah.
feathers and the colors and
I know
I mean,
I think they
ugh.
do a lot of great work with color palettes in the show.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I am so
so
impressed
color.
with the way that everything is so cohesive, and each area just feels so different. All the characters' costumes feel great too.
Yeah,
It's really nice, and like I feel like it pops in a way that a lot of these shows, a lot of period shows, don't.
they
There's
usually
a
don't.
lot
They
of
usually have almost
flatness.
like this like light blue gray film over the whole thing, almost
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Lots of
It
grays,
almost
lots of light blues, lots of
yes.
that
It
same
almost
color
looks like
browns.
Zack Snyder like filter,
Oh
that he
yeah, a
puts
little
on
bit,
all the fucking movies. It looks
a
a
little
little
bit.
bit like that.
Guys,
But
if you want to go listen to our Sucker Punch episode, go download that now.
that's awesome. I straight up did not know we had a Zack Snyder thing. I'm gonna go check out that episode right now. But like, it's beautiful, and you see like the ugly greens, the muted tones of the Featherington family, and then you go to the Bridgertons, and everything is bright and white and pure. And you see the families coming down the stairs. They're all getting ready for this presentation, and Daphne isn't there. And so Eloise yells up to Daphne, and then
You
see
must
Daphne.
make haste.
And I have a problem with shows that tell me who I'm supposed to think is hot. And I understand like that's a part of it, but
Oh
when you in a
no.
show tell me that someone is hot, they're like, this person's hot, you gotta think they're hot. I'm like, no, I'm good. Thank you. This person's better. And I try to immediately find someone else that I like more. So that happened with Daphne. I saw Daphne, I was like, ugh, she looks like a kid. I don't
No,
want any part of that.
you're not wrong. If you go to her Instagram, she's a very attractive individual, but they do make her I think this is a flaw of the show. They make her a little too infantile and a little too doll like.
Yeah.
Especially with these little like bang things and like the way they do her hair and even I feel like even the bodice of her dress always looks more unflattering than anyone else on the show who are the same age, like Marina or even like the Featheringtons. They like give her a decorum to it that I agree with you, where we're supposed to think she's like the hottest and she's supposed to be like the number one
Yeah.
best thing, but they don't do her any favors. I think she's okay at best, which is weird. I'm not trying to like judge her because I think she's very attractive. If you go
Yeah, but in
look
the
at
show,
any
I
of the
feel like
pictures, but
just the costumes don't. I don't know why they're not very flattering.
yeah, maybe it's a point that we're missing. Maybe we're supposed to feel this way about her. Maybe
Yeah.
but it was lost on me. I agree. I feel like when you watch Pride and Prejudice, when you're looking at Keira Knightley, I'm not distracted by the way she looks.
Hmm.
You know, when I'm watching Emma, I'm not distracted that Anya Taylor-Joy is not being done any favors in terms of how attractive she actually is. It's weird. I agree.
But I was like Eloise though.
Eloise is great.
She's got a unique look that I like. I feel like I like that.
I think this is why Shonda Rhimes shows have this unique feel. I've made you watch one. I made you watch Grey's Anatomy, and I'm sure there were tones of this here that you also saw, where she has such a distinct way of presenting her dialogue, and the showrunners of the show obviously are emulating that, her unique style, where people say things in a way that normal people wouldn't say them, like a little too intense and a little too braggadocious, but it's that way so you get their character right away. You know who Eloise is from that one line, and it works.
Mhm.
It works really well.
Yeah, I feel like they're really good at portraying characters. I get a feel for who everyone is. And even though it isn't this way in real life, like people's characteristics do overlap, and that's usually how you form
Sure.
friendships and things. But it is interesting that I do feel like every single character in the first episode that I saw was unique, and I do want to like follow their stories throughout the series.
Small thing. I'm very excited I'm excited. I hope we get two kinds of 5-star reviews. I hope we get one review that's like great episode, but the accents and the character work were too much. And then I want another review that says, oh, come on, guys, you didn't keep it up for the whole time. I want right on that line when nobody's happy.
Yeah. That's where our podcast lives, right in the middle where no one is pleased.
And then we meet Anthony Bridgerton and a tree.
Yes. So then we cut to Anthony Bridgerton. She's like, where's your brother? And then you cut to Anthony having sex in front of a tree with a guy just guarding the horse. and he's checking his pocket watch. He's like, "Fuck, I'm late." And then you go
And
back.
then goes faster. He doesn't stop. He's like, "Fuck, I'm late. I better hurry up."
Yes.
He doesn't like,
yes.
"Oh, I gotta go."
And then they go back and they make it to, well, there's an exchange of glances between the Lady Featherington and Lady Bridgerton, and they're just like, "I see you. My daughter's gonna win this shit."
A little bit.
Which is weird to say the least, but you can tell that there is tension. And then also there's do we listen to Whistle? What's her name? Whistledown.
Whistledown? She's the
Whistledown.
narrator from the top, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're listening to
narrating
Lady
all this.
Whistledown talk right now too about everything.
Julie Andrews.
Yeah, because I saw that she was in the cast list, but I was like, "Who the fuck is
Yeah.
she?" And then at the end of the episode, I was like,
Who,
"Oh, it's
Marcus, really quick. She's been featured in 2 previous Now Try This episodes. Can you name them off the top of your head?
I'm gonna say Zack Snyder's Sucker Punch and Die Hard."
No, the
Okay.
Princess Diaries episode,
Oh,
and
yeah.
also the Aquaman episode.
She was in Aquaman.
She was the the big aqua creature that lived in the bottom of the ocean that he had a fight at the end.
Yeah. Julie Andrews.
That was
is
Julie
the
Andrews.
monster.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And then so we're at the Queen's Palace.
I am full of trivia about ourselves.
I like it. Someone has to remember something.
This is true.
So we're at the Queen's Palace and they walk through and one of the Featherington daughters falls on her face. And they're like, "Oh, well, not everyone can handle the pressure of being so beautiful." And then they cut to Daphne, who's walking down, and they're just like, "Look how beautiful and graceful she is." She walks up to the Queen, and the Queen's like, "Fuck yeah, that's the one. That's the hot ticket for this summer."
I forget what she says. Something, she's like the diamond in the rough or something. Like she's the diamond of the forest. I don't know. It's like a very specific phrase, but that's like the highest honor you can get.
Yeah, she's like, "She is beautiful, and I must consume her." And then she immediately becomes London's most eligible bachelorette. I said,
And now you have the
Nailed it.
conceit of the whole show.
Pretty much. Yeah.
What are you
there's the
thinking? What are you
second half
feeling?
where you got to introduce the Duke. I was into it.
Oh,
I
sure,
mean, I'm
sure.
watching it. I am, other than the whole fact that like I don't like TV shows telling me how hot someone is. I want to decide that for myself, and the internet can tell me how hot someone is, but I don't want TV shows telling me how hot someone is.
Well, it's interesting, right? Because this show, right off the bat, has really good pacing, which I think is something very famously Regency dramas don't have well. I mean, Downton Abbey, I haven't made you watch it, not because I didn't enjoy it, but because it's so slow, I don't even want to torment you to that. Like, you would have to watch 2 seasons to like, oh, now I get the show. Well, this
Yeah, I
show,
don't
it's like
that.
the first 20 minutes is like, yeah, I get it. I get these characters. I get what's going
Yeah.
on. You know, it's interesting that they brought modern day sensibility. You know, they talk about doing this in a lot of shows. They try to do this in a lot of shows, but it usually doesn't work, right? It usually you're mixing your mediums and something's off about it. But I think
It's-
they're honoring both, right? They're honoring modern
Yes.
television and they're moderning. That's not the word. What am I trying to say? Honoring. You're just gonna let me say that? You're just gonna let me say moderning when I was trying to say
correct you
honoring?
on the
No,
podcast.
correct me. Correct me on the pod. If I sound like an idiot,
I don't want to.
I would much rather you get the reputation for I would much rather you get the reputation for being the smarter one that has to correct your co-host than me just getting the
No.
reputation that I'm the dumb one.
I would get the reputation for being the rude one that has to correct my co-host when he's perfectly fine. Everyone knows
Well,
what you're saying.
I'm gonna fucking correct you so hard.
Oh,
and
no,
often now,
please
just to
don't.
spite you.
I have too much anxiety. That would make me spiral hard.
I have too much. I'm just kidding. But then you're right. We introduced to the Duke.
Yes. So we're introduced to, what's her name? Lady or Countess
Danbury. Lady
Danbury. Oh God. She has a very specific look. She has drawn in eyebrows, which
Yeah.
I am so used to seeing because I feel like it's a thing in Hispanic cultures, and I was in the Bronx and my grandma did it all the time. So whenever it was time to be fancy and we had to go to a graduation or whatever, she just like the pencil came out and she drew in those fucking eyebrows.
And it's a
And-
popular thing all over the place, but very much in minority community, it's like a
There's a style to it that is like,
yeah.
this is drawn in and might as well have been done in marker.
It's not
that
supposed
she
to look like
has.
an eyebrow anymore.
Yeah. And I like that. So I saw her and
And
I was
also
like,
the
I love
gelled
her.
bangs, on the forehead.
Yes. I was like, I love her. I love this look. I want more of it.
Uh-huh. And she's a great character, right? She's
Yeah.
opinionated and strong and beautiful
Yeah.
and regal. It's great.
The Duke came on, and I was immediately like, "Oh no, this guy is too hot. Like he doesn't
He's very
fit
attractive.
in the show because I don't find anyone else on the show really that attractive."
Sure.
So I don't know. It just didn't fit. I was like, "Who's?" I was like, "Obviously, he's gonna end up with Daphne, but she looks like a child, and this is a hot ass man." So I feel like I don't know what I want from the show,
Yeah.
but in my brain, those two things don't go together. Like we
I
need
love that you're
someone
feeling that.
else who looks like a grown woman to be in love with him, and that's could be his love interest.
I love that. I love that. It's like, Duke, you're no. I just imagine your note saying, Duke too hot.
Pretty much, that's what it says. And then he goes in and he's like, "Oh, you've been away, obviously but now you're here." And the mom or his aunt is immediately trying to set him up with people. She's like,
Because he's
"Hey,"
back because his father's ill and he's going to become the new Duke.
yes, she's like, "Hey, just letting you know, I told everybody, and they're all gonna come knocking on your door soon. Just want to let you know
Very much like a Hispanic aunt. Very much
that."
like Auntie telling me, like, oh, so I told everyone in the neighborhood that you're coming back to town from
And that you're
college.
single.
Veronica and Emily and Bridget are all going to stop by later. No, just for a little cookie, just for a little food. No big deal. No pressure, but go change your shirt.
Yeah, and then we get to the first of the two separate parties that are in this episode.
I guess I'll tell you right now, there's a lot more fucking parties.
I want to know what the PPE is of this show. Parties per episode.
At least one. But
I
I feel
like-
like there's one. I feel like episode 3 or 4 have like 5.
That's I imagine. I want to know what the peak is because I feel like
Right.
it could be 5 or 6, and I don't think I would get tired of them, but it is
Over
a
under
lot.
on how
It's
many parties?
noticeable. So you get to the first party, and you have the most eligible bachelor and most eligible bachelorette both there, and they're
Listening
not talking to one
to-
another yet.
Listening to a wonderful stringed rendition of Thank You Next.
Yeah, the music was great in this show.
That was the moment when I was like, I can't not love this. This is
Yeah.
really great.
I
This is really
definitely
great.
I went down a rabbit hole recently of listening to medieval covers of modern songs, and
Ooh. That's
there's
exactly
a
what this
bunch
is,
of
yeah.
YouTube videos, and this was very
Yeah.
similar to that, and I liked it. It scratched
That's
an
what-
itch that I needed scratching.
I haven't listened to, what is it called? Postmodern Jukebox for years, but it's something that I used to, that was like early YouTube, right? Watching
Yeah.
those videos and watching the modern day songs sung in the 40s and the 50s and the olden time.
It was a lot of fun.
String quartets. Loved it.
So the
But yes,
soundtrack
we
is
have-
great. I love that they do
Yep.
that. It's very adventurous and also familiar, and it also hits
just
the
works.
same beats too as like a CW show, but without being as boring and annoying. I feel.
Without the teenage angst.
Yes.
You know, it's weird because the situations aren't that dissimilar, right? Like from A to B, this could be an episode of Riverdale if you were
Yeah.
just talking about, but it's the way they're not like Daphne at this party that you're about to talk about is the most eligible bachelorette, right? And her brother is basically intervening on her behalf for everybody's like, he's got a gambling debt. He smells weird. He can't
Yeah.
shoot. And this is something that could happen in an episode of Gilmore Girls. It could happen in an episode of Riverdale. The brother, messing up the dates for the girl. But in the CW show, she would be like, oh my God.
Yeah, it would just be
It would
way
just
more
be-
dramatic
yeah.
and played up in a way that I just don't like. There's a certain level of class and also
That's the word, yeah.
Gossip Girl vibes that I feel like
It's so Gossip
mix
Girl.
really well, and I like the middle ground of those two things. I don't like
Yeah.
Riverdale Gossip Girl kind of stuff, and I'm not into Pride and Prejudice, even though I kind of did like Pride and Prejudice itself. But that kind of period romance.
But you're not
So
going
this
and
is where it
watching
meets in
every
the middle?
version of all those
Oof.
movies, yeah.
Love it. That's where I live,
Yeah.
baby.
So at this party, we see that this is probably my favorite moment of the show, where we get to see Nigel Burbrook, come and try to talk to Daphne, because there's one moment when she insists she can go get a drink herself and leaves her brother behind. And of course, that one moment when she takes her independence, she is confronted by Nigel saying that he's always had a crush on her ever since he was a young lad. And then she was like, when I was 5?
Yes, an infant. It was gross.
And she
Immediately, they hit
literally,
you with Nigel
yeah,
being creepy. And
immediately. They do such a good job.
they do a great job, and he's very gross. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I was like, why do ugly people on these shows always have to be bad guys? Like, it's fine, or creeps or weirdos or whatever. I feel like anytime you see one of these things and someone's like kind of not conventionally attractive and a man, it's like they're gonna be evil and gross. And you're like, okay, I guess so. That's fine.
I guess so. They make one of the Feathering girls out to be like that, and then in the second or third episode, she meets a suitor, and then he asks her, "Do you like cheese?" She says, "I love cheese," and they're like, they love each other, and that's very sweet.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so the non-pedestal people do get a couple moments, but you are right.
Okay,
Shows do
good,
this.
good.
But then
Um,
that leads to the meet cute, which is my favorite moment, when Daphne runs into the Duke, and he's like, "Oh, all these women throwing themselves at me," and she's like, "I beg your pardon."
I like that he is kind of a confident asshole a little
Yeah.
bit, but he has a heart of gold. And I feel like that's the kind of guy you want for romance,
Yeah,
like, oh, he's
especially
kind
one
of a
like this.
douche. Yeah, he's kind of a douche. He's kind of, he's kind of prickly as a person,
Yeah.
but not to me. I can break
He's
through
so
that.
charismatic. He pulls it off so well. His name's super complicated, so I forget what it is. It's
Renee, I don't know.
I think it's like Renee Jean Page.
Reggie?
Renee Jean Page. I think it's like Renee. I think it's like
Okay. It's
I think the first one-
Jean.
the first one that looks
Page.
weird is pronounced normal, and the Jean is very overpronounced, like Jean. So it's like
Yeah,
Renee
got
Jean
it.
Page or something.
Got it.
He's very good at this. There's a whole bunch of like little like murmurs about people being like 007, and I was like, yeah, I could see it.
I could see it.
They say
I'm
everybody
not a-
should be Tom Hardy. They should say everybody should be 007. Tom Hardy,
I think everyone should get a chance at being 007. They should retire this last guy.
He said it was his last movie for the last 3 movies, so maybe this will be the one.
Maybe this will be the one. Yeah, and then they meet and they talk and they kind of don't like each other, but then I think next is the part where the moms meet up.
Well, first it's all the suitors showing up at the houses, right? So all
Oh,
of
yeah.
Daphne's suitors show up, and her brother is continually rude, and then they stop showing up. And then there's a whole bunch of suitors that go to the Feathertons, but none of them are there for the Featheringtons. They're there
Mhm.
for the cousin Marina, because she's very attractive, and they all think so. So
Yes, yeah. So that's a whole nother subplot that we have in the show going on where Marina shows up and she is, I guess we find out later that she's pregnant, but she's beautiful and everyone loves her. That was another thing of her being like, look how gorgeous and stunning she is. And I was like, I mean, she looks like a regular person. Like,
really, she's very attractive.
maybe. I just in the show again, I feel like the like plain clothing and like the
Sure.
like, makes you look slim and like a box, like a rectangle.
Yeah.
And I'm just not into that look.
Yeah, she gets some better dresses later on when she's not. Because at the beginning here, she's clearly like the poor cousin that's come to town, right?
Yes,
They're
yeah,
trying to make
yeah.
her look that way. She looks a little better later. They get her some better dresses.
Okay, that's good. But yeah, you're introduced to her, and her whole thing is that she's there. She's staying with them for a little while, and the Lady Farrington does not like her at all. But for some reason, Lord
Because it's
Farrington
drawing
is,
attention away from her daughters.
yes, and Lord Farrington is persistent that she stays with them, and he
Wonder
keeps
why.
looking at her, and I don't know why. Part of me, I immediately was like, oh no,
It's not
he's
sexy time.
into her.
It's not that. It's not that.
But then Darren was like, that's not what this show is going for, probably. And I said, okay.
Yeah. No, she's right. There is something there that they don't actually ever like. I don't know. I have some theories.
Okay.
Well,
Cool.
after you watch the season, we could talk about it. But
Okay. Interesting.
But it's not sexy time.
That's good. Is it a good guy thing or is it a bad guy thing?
Lord Featherington is as much of an asshole as he seems to be.
Oh, okay. Cool. That's fair. That's what I wanted to know, really. Because he's
Yeah.
quiet. So he could be an asshole or he could be just like a good dude.
And then Lady Danbury and Lady Bridgerton meet up at the opera and conspire for their their wards to meet up and hang out at dinner to set up the Duke
Yes.
and Daphne.
That was a very cute moment. I like the two parents conspiring to be like, we're going to get our
Yeah, they're
kids
good.
together. It's going to work.
I think something that Regency shows actually do better than most shows is not put the other characters, push them to the side, like the parents and the adults. Like it always, maybe it's a British TV thing, but it always feels like they're not Like in Riverdale, you don't care when the parents are talking, right?
Yeah.
Like when the parents are talking, you're like, shut up.
Yeah, you're like,
Get back
you're
to
not.
Archie. They like
Yes.
try to give him storylines and it's always like off and it never feels
Yeah.
right. Because they're writing them the same way they write the kids, so it never feels right. But it shows like this, they seem like they have their own agency and their own character and their own problems. And,
Yeah.
especially later on when Lady Bridgerton talks to Anthony, the son, about him kind of being a dick to Daphne and the things and like stands up for herself in a very specific way because
Yeah.
she doesn't have as much power as her son because he's the Viscount now because he's the man of the house. Those interesting exchanges there and this one with Lady Danbury, very good.
Yeah. There's a sense of responsibility that I feel like the older characters have. And I guess even the younger characters, because Daphne knows that she has to get married because in this society, woman only has value if she's able to marry someone important enough status. So I also like that that's a through line of the show too, because I feel like a lot of shows, a lot of period pieces don't hit on that. Like, like I like seeing that there's a sense of independence and that there's a sense of something is wrong in this world. And there's a little bit of fantasy too, where it's like they do get away with things. It is modernized in that way where you kind of that stuff isn't on your mind.
Yeah, the mirror isn't turned on itself in older dramas. In maybe Downton Abbey a little bit, but not in Pride and Prejudice. Not even really in Emma. Like, does she come to terms with the way she is in that film? Sure, but only at the time. There's not.
Yeah.
There's never any impetus put on the show itself that there's something wrong with this time. But the show is definitely wants to say that. They want to say something with having to do with the fact that Lady Whistledown is a character and, empowers herself. The way that Eloise is always talking about marriage, the way that, Penelope talks about marriage, that wants to wait on her presentation because she's not confident enough yet. The way that Daphne's talking about wanting a man, but you can tell that she's doing it in a way because she thinks she's supposed to, not because she's
because she actually wants it,
or she doesn't know yet, right? It's almost like she doesn't.
Well, she wants to fall in love, I guess.
That's what it is. That's what it is. She wants to fall in love.
She wants to fall in love, but the way this whole thing is set up, the way that the woman's value is determined, is you don't have that opportunity. There's a point in which, after the suitors all come in, Anthony is like, "Hey, Nigel's a good dude according to my standards, so you should be with him because he has like all these things, and you don't really have any other suitors." Even though it is his own fault that she doesn't have suitors.
You find out that she's obsessed with this love thing because her mom and dad look like they were in love, so she wants the same thing. But for her, I think her journey, and you can see it here in the first episode, is her not knowing that love and marriage are different. And you can already see that like starting off. That's the through line of the show. It's really nice.
When Anthony is talking about Nigel, he's like, "You will learn to love him," and that's not always true.
Yeah. And then we get to the last ball. Well, the last ball of the episode. Oh no, I'm sorry. We do see Anthony break up with Sienna because his mother called him.
Oh yes. Oh, also, while we're speaking about mothers, shout out to my mother who's in the chat. She said, "Hey," her username is "Hey, this is your mother." Also, she said, "Hi, this is your mother, Marcus." So shout out to my mom for watching the Twitch stream. You can, if my mom can do it, you can show up to this Twitch stream to listen on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I will never forget for an old video that we did years ago that your mother commented and told you to stop cursing.
Yes, she did.
It was so sincere. Shout out to Marcus's mom. Hello.
Okay. Yes. Next part.
Is there anything you would like to say to her now with the veil of the Twitch stream?
Nope. It's too much pressure. Gotta move on. Let's continue the episode.
I'm gonna assume that second high was for me. Hello.
There it is.
All right, but Anthony breaks up with Sienna, which was heartbreaking because earlier there he spotted all this stuff about how he was going to protect her, and even though it was obvious that Anthony needed to go marry a woman of renown, he told Sienna all these like lovey-dovey things, and she bought into it, and then all in the span of just this episode, they break up because he realizes he has to be there for his family.
I do think that he loves her, and that he genuinely cares about her. I don't think that he was being manipulative. I do. Yeah. He knows his duties, and he knows that he has to marry, and he also sort of has that responsibility, which you never really see from the male side. because I feel like in most of these things, especially when it comes to romance, you're seeing things from the female's perspective, and you're like, okay, cool. The women have to go out, they have to find a suitor, they have to be desirable in a way
Yep.
that the men don't necessarily have to. So it is interesting to see that he also has something to sacrifice, and something that he wants, that he has to give up because of the way society is.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. I didn't think he'd be somebody that I would be interested in his storyline when the show started. I thought he was like, oh, the asshole brother. He's gonna
Yeah.
be blah blah blah. Marriage is important. He was gonna take on the father role of a lot of these shows where it's like, oh, you gotta get married because I said so.
Yeah.
And then maybe at the end of the season to be like, oh, maybe love is real. But that's not who this character is. It's funny how this show has all these characters that are very tropey. They fit the paradigms that they're supposed to in a show like this. But already, even now, halfway through this episode, you're almost done with this episode. You see that they're already divulging and adding more layers and
Mhm.
making them a little more complex.
Yeah, it seems like a fun kind of show. I can only take so much of this kind of thing. I think shows like this tend to last too long and get too wild. Like Riverdale
Yeah.
got crazy, and I'm
Yeah.
sure it's
Well, the
still
good thing this is only
crazy.
8 episodes.
Yeah, so I like that. Also, I feel like British television tends to limit itself. There's usually only 6 episodes or so into a season.
Yeah.
So I like that about this show. It doesn't feel like I'm going to get bored anytime soon.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's that fat. If this was a 24 episode season on TV,
Yeah.
then we'd have to spend more time with Eloise having a random conversation with the mother that's not actually important, but they need to fill up the 45 minutes of the episode, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
to pull it out. And then there would
There's
be
a lot of
extraneous storylines. But all the storylines feel important. They feel weighted, Penelope doesn't feel like a side character. Eloise doesn't feel like a side character. They get what they get. It feels like they're giving them the attention that they need, and then they're moving on.
Yeah, there's a lot of filler that ends up in these kinds of shows that I don't think is here, which
Yeah.
I'm excited about.
Yeah, I think that's something that stays true. I think that there is a direction or two the show goes. And I was like, well, okay, weird.
Okay.
But can't talk about that because now we're at the last ball where a couple little things. You find out Anthony set up the marriage between him and Daphne. You find out that Penelope has a crush on Colin Bridgerton,
Mhm.
and it's another dance, and it's obvious that Daphne is not getting what she wants, and she leaves in a fury. And then you get the
Yeah.
big moment of the episode where Nigel comes out and confronts Daphne about how they are to be wed.
Yes. So before that, though, Colin and what Penelope?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Colin is interested in what's her face? Madison?
Marina.
Yeah, so Colin is interested in Marina, and he's been kind of trying to get his foot in the door with her, but
In a nice,
hasn't been able
kind, like
to.
civil, like young
Yeah.
guy way. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not the one she's
He's
always
got a
talking
crush.
to, but he's always in the room with her. And also in the room is Penelope. So
Always.
who has a crush on him, and they have this little love triangle thing going on, and this weird so I I don't want to talk about other people's looks too much necessarily.
You've
But
done it like 4 times. You might
yes,
as well
I
just lean
know.
in now.
I'm
Just lean
leaning
in.
in. This woman shows up and is like, "Hello, Colin. I'd love to dance with you." And her neck is weird and elongated in such a strange way, and she had an alien head that I just couldn't get over.
Yeah, she gets a
Um,
little more screen time, and that doesn't go away. You keep that feeling.
I
But again, I don't think the person's unattractive. It's just the way they
No.
doll her up. They like elongate her more, like with the
Yes.
way the dress is.
Yes, I definitely was sitting on the couch and went, "Oh my god, no! Please stop showing me her face. I don't want to see it anymore." Which may have
I-
been too aggressive of a response.
I just want to shout out Darren really quick because I missed this in the chat earlier, and she said I'm dead to her because I put you on a dating game. I didn't realize that. Well, all right. So no more prizes hidden under the bed for you, Marcus. And somebody also pointed out what are her bangs? The character's bangs. Everybody's bangs are so weird in this show. Like
I don't-
Daphne has these little like anime things going on, and
Yeah,
that girl
I
has
don't
these weird.
understand the bangs
I
in
don't
the
know.
show.
I also feel like I don't know. I feel like Marina, especially in this first episode. Also, it's Hilda, by the way. Shout out to Hilda. one time
Shout
in the chat.
out
Hello.
to Hilda.
I think the one person that honestly, all these like faux pas for hair and stuff, honestly, is kind of funny. But the one that honestly was a little weird was Marina doesn't have good hair in this episode because I think they were trying to make her out to be poor and whatnot. But
I get that.
it also was a little triggering because it just seemed like, you know, they let the black person have their hair done by white hair, like by a white person. Like it just had that look
I
to
could
it
see
that you
that.
see in the past. Like I know that's not what was happening,
Yeah,
but I don't think they needed to have her hair like that to show me that they were poor. I kind of wish they just
I get
started
that.
with her having good hair. But that's a
Yeah,
me thing, not a show thing.
that's fair. I totally
Yeah.
can see that. But I do understand that there has to be some level of progress in the show.
Yeah. Which is something that we haven't talked about at all, which I don't think it's not a topic I care too much about, but it has come up in reviews and the fandom and everywhere else. So I do want to bring it up, I guess, is the wokeness, I guess, of the show, you know,
Hmm.
because the truth is in 18 whatever London, you know, black people weren't a part of the Regency. They just very
Yeah.
much were not, you know, they were nowhere.
What's
They just
what's
weren't a part
the
of it.
what's the issue that they have that they're not addressing it, or that this sets? Because I feel like in my head this is a
Yeah, you
fantasy.
tell me.
You know,
Yeah.
like I feel like this is an alternate reality where these things were normal and maybe should have been the case at the time.
I
So
I
that's
agree.
kind
That
of
was
where
what
I
I
see the
took away.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this takes place in our timeline.
Yeah. I think the woke social justice warrior in me was just like, oh, cool. Black people are here too. Nice. I think sometimes it just is that easy for me because sometimes I'm just like, yeah, cool. Nice.
Yeah.
And I don't put the thought in why and where and how, you know. But I think some people's problem with it is they think the show should address it more and they think that it's hand wavy. So by putting black people in the Regency, by making a black person the queen and not addressing it head on is a problem. And then also some other people's problem was wasn't more. Because if there's
I
some black people in the Regency, why aren't there more?
I understand that.
Which are both, I
I
think, valid points.
Those are
But
valid points.
yeah,
I
go
feel
ahead.
like, sorry, I think those are valid points, but I also feel like since they're bringing up the like being a woman during this time and how hard it is, I do think to do that and ignore also like the fact of how hard it was to be a minority at the time. It's like they're picking and choosing which issues they want to address and talk about, which
It's true.
I could understand feeling like you're not being included in the conversation.
This is the way I feel about it. I think that's all correct. I think that's all right, and I think it's a valid criticism. It's a valid point, but to criticize a whole show on all of its merits, like in bad faith, about
Yeah,
this kind of stuff, it always puts a sour taste in my mouth. Because
I get it.
I think art's job is to address these things. However, I don't think it's I don't think when you don't choose to make your thing about a thing, it makes you a malicious person. For example, like I don't think La La Land is being malicious that the lead of their movie is white and likes old jazz. I think the guy who made it is white and he had a story to tell from his perspective and it was white. And the story he wanted to tell was about something else. Now, I guess there is a point that why don't you include that? Well, if you include that, it changes everything. It changes everything about the movie. And sometimes art should be entertainment. It should be not provocative. I think something should be provocative and I think something should not be. Like when I watch Steven Universe, it is provocative about certain things and gender identity and love and mental illness. But it doesn't address race relations. Actually, it kind of does, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
That's a bad example.
100%.
Well, it doesn't talk about it doesn't you know what I mean, like but
Yeah,
that's
I
what
know
that
what you
show
mean.
is
I know what you
about.
mean. Yeah.
Like I don't think Chowder is a bad cartoon because it doesn't address race relations, you know.
Sure,
Actually, I've
but
never seen Chowder.
it might address race relations. You don't
It
know.
might
I
don't
understand
know
what you're
if
saying. I do think that there is there's a line. Not everything can be the most woke thing ever, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be.
Because then sometimes it's distracting, right? Sometimes it
Yeah.
takes away from the whole. Sometimes I've watched things where I'm like, guys, I get it. You know,
Yeah.
I get it. Women are treated badly. You know, my brown skin makes me look down by people. I get it. Sometimes I just want people to see people sing and dance to thank you next.
Because
You know what I mean?
well, here's the thing too. I mean, like you are a minority and you are having to live it. So having to consume media all the time about how people don't like you, I
Oh,
could
sure.
understand that being tiring too.
Yeah, I think Tizam's a great example, or one of our great friends. He doesn't watch movies about slavery. He just doesn't do it. He says anytime a movie has come up and I'm like, oh, that's supposed to be a really good movie. Do you want to watch it? His answer is always just no. He just doesn't want to, which I totally get.
Yeah.
But
I do think
so go ahead.
to just like I guess clarify a little bit. I feel like it is like that content should definitely exist, but
Yep.
also, God, I forgot my point. But there's a limit. I think we should be able to criticize these things and say this should be here, but not also then take the whole show down with that one
Yeah.
single criticism.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's the line, right? I think there's a point where everything could be better, but it doesn't mean it's bad or malicious. It's created in bad faith. I don't believe that they created the show saying, "Hey, we're not going to bring up these things because we don't want to." I'm sure it was a very long conversation about what they want to do with the show, and one thing I think they wanted to do, similar to something like Hamilton, was to put minorities in a place on a very popular screen that they normally wouldn't be. And that was the choice that they made. And they do make a couple throwaway lines. Like there is a version of the history of the show where you kind of assume the reason that they're in Regency is because the queen, who was black, the king fell in love with her, and that was when everything changed, when they got married. And that's why everything is the way it is now. But that's it. It's just like one little hand wave thing, and like that's all, And I think, this is the first season of the show. I think there's a chance where in the third season, the Duke is confronted by somebody that comes from an old time, and you can actually have that conversation. But that's not the choice they were making. I think that's okay.
I also feel like in my head, for me to have to justify the whole thing and also think that it's like a fantasy world is kind of telling too, because it shows that they aren't addressing things to the point where this is true. It makes the show different, and at some point they have to acknowledge, like, hey, this is where the timeline took a tangent, took a turn.
Which brings us back to the show when Nigel confronts Daphne in the garden outside of this last ball.
Yes. So Nigel's a creepy weirdo, and he shows up again, and he's like, hey, I'm going to be even more of a creepy weirdo. And he tries to attack her. He reaches towards her in a way that is aggressive and disturbing.
He is intending to do something that I don't want to say out loud.
Yeah. He should not be redeemed or allowed to be on the show anymore. After that, he got punched, and he should be removed. I don't want to see him anymore. He is a bad person. That is
but the great... I think when this happened, and then they cut to the Duke running through the garden and going to, I was like, oh, okay, seen this before. And then honestly, it hit all my bells when Daphne did the punch, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Daphne ends up punching Nigel out, and she doesn't need the Duke to come save her, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a small thing, but it wasn't
a small thing, but it was very like effective. I liked it a lot, and he was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Also, the way the Duke came out, he was like, oh,
yeah.
Everything's handled.
But immediately they start talking, and they both realize that they can solve each other's problems. And
how can they solve each other's problems?
He's
Sounds
like,
just like a Chris Evans movie from the 90s.
I am the most eligible bachelor, and you need people to think that you're desirable and wanted. And that you're being courted, that you're not a trash person. So they decide to pretend that they are in love with one another, and obviously they're gonna fall in love.
Obviously. But you're okay with it almost, right? You're okay with it because it just feels honest. It feels, I'm okay with
I feel like, well, let's see.
I've seen it a million times, and I was okay with it.
We've seen it a million times, but there's something that is like welcoming about a trope being tropey, that you're like, yes, this is comfort.
Yeah.
This is a blanket for me to just like wrap myself in and enjoy the rest.
You get to smile and say like,
yeah. You're like, oh shit, I know what's gonna happen, and I'm here for it. And it's fun. Totally. I think that there's like sometimes you can't be too tropey, and because then you feel like we've seen the show a million times. But if you
go too far,
yes. But if you do the trope with interesting characters, it could be well done, and there's a reason that it works. Yeah. If you bring something new to the table.
If you go too far away from those tropes, then it doesn't look recognizable anymore. Then you would, there's a trick when you're writing something where you do want your audience to be able to guess what happens. Mm-hmm. If they can guess too easily, it seems dumb. But if they can't guess at all, there's this innate frustration that an audience feels that they can't even really put into words. But you want to be along for the ride, right? You don't want to
Yeah.
be taken for a ride. Some movies want to do that, like a movie like Lighthouse, where it wants to not let you be handheld and it wants to throw you into a room of darkness and like shake it. That's
Yeah.
what that movie's trying to do. But most things want to gingerly hold your hand and say, hey, you recognize this thing? That feels nice, doesn't it? And you're like, yeah, it does. And they're like,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I think you have, when you're presented with something that's super tropey, like rom-coms, you can either like embrace the trope and do it with your unique flair, or you end up having to subvert it to make it interesting, which is also fun, but that's not what this is doing.
Yeah. But even something that super subverts a trope like Knives Out. You saw Knives Out?
Yes.
Yeah. Knives Out, the whole film is full of tropes. It's like every trope in a mystery movie ever. But just at a couple key points, it twists things, and that's just that little bit of divergence is exactly what you want to see. You want to feel like you're along for the ride, and then it's like, oh, and you're like, oh, and then you're like back on the ride, and it's like, oh,
In order to subvert something, you have to have like be able to pay homage and have enough knowledge and enough like experience with the world to then turn it on its head.
Yeah. Something that's cool is this is based off of a book. It's a series of books. And in the series, I think there's 8 books, one for every sibling's love story, which is pretty cool if they do the show like that. Yeah. I don't know what the next season is going to be, but like I feel like I could watch 8 seasons of the show if this one focuses on Daphne, and then the next one focuses on Eloise, and the next one focuses on Anthony, and then we get a Colin one, and then we get a blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But
I'm
Marcus,
excited.
that's the end of the show.
Oh, this was a ride of a stream. We had the most technical difficulties we've ever had.
We've been the fanciest we've ever been on a stream.
So if you're still here, thank you for putting up with all of that bullshit. And if you're listening on Monday when we release the episodes,
I'll probably cut this out and you'll never know what happened.
Exactly.
Seamless. But Marcus, it's the end of the show. So did you like Bridgerton?
Oh, I did like it.
Yeah,
I did.
Look at that
I
face.
had fun. It was a good
Look
show.
at that face. Would you recommend this show to anybody?
Yeah, I would recommend this show to anyone who likes rom-coms. If you like rom-coms, if you like period shows, like watch this. It's a good one.
If you love Shonda Rhimes shows, if you love CW shows, if you love,
if you just love hot people and you want to look at them all day, watch.
There's a lot of sex in the show. Marcus, I assume your feelings about how much sex is in this show is probably fine, but I do want you to know they do double down. There is way, way, way more. This wasn't let's be edgy for the first episode and then get a lot of butt in there. And then it's like, then we get to normal. And so it's like, no. They Game of Thrones it. They double down and then double down more and then double down. There's a lot more sex.
It's going to get steamy. I'm excited.
Yeah, but that won't matter if you don't answer this third question correctly. Are you going to keep watching this show?
I am. I'm going to keep watching the show.
Oh, we did it, guys. That's everyone keeping score at home. That means Nick got a point. Because this is a competition.
It's not a competition. Stop being so competitive.
I got a giant chalkboard thing on my wall that says all our points, and I'm winning.
Nick, it's the time of the show where I give you my challenge.
Marcus, lay it on me. I'm ready.
Week. Nick, next week.
I don't know if my budget for costumes is ready, but I'm ready.
Next week we're staying on the same side of the pond.
Really? I'm sorry. Did I make you think I like love British dramas? Because I'm like, I'm good. I just had to rewatch this show. Yeah, I'm okay. I watched the whole first season. I rewatched first episode. Nope. I'm like, I'm good.
No.
Like, I don't want to wear this again next week.
You might. There's definitely a uniform that you should be able to put on next week because we're gonna do a sports show. Marcus, hope you haven't watched this already.
Marcus, I don't like sports.
You love sports. I know.
I like boys volleyball in the form of anime, and that's all. Guys, go check out our Haikyuu episode.
How many plugs has been? 6?
16.
Next week, I want you to watch the 2020 show Ted Lasso.
Marcus, I've never heard of this in my life.
Yeah! Woo! It follows Jason Sudeikis as Ted Lasso, who is college American football coach who ends up going across the
Oh.
pond to coach soccer. Or
The reason I never heard of the show is because it's on
football.
fucking Apple TV.
It's on Apple TV, and it is. You're gonna have to
You
sign up
subscribe
for
to
a
Apple TV
tribal.
like a cuck?
I did not subscribe. I have my ways.
I'm just kidding.
getting
Of course,
TV
no. Of
shows.
course, no. You're just joking, Marcus. Of course, you subscribe. You're a good.
Yes,
boy.
I subscribe to Apple TV. Sponsor us, Apple.
Same way that I will now. Weird. Okay. There's so many. It's funny that you're giving this to me because there's like 16 shows on Apple TV that are all getting awards. That seems super interesting. That seems super funny. And I haven't watched a single one because I don't have a Mac. I don't have a iPad that I'm on all day. I don't have an iPhone, so I'm out of the Apple bubble.
Yeah.
So Apple TV is never like advertised to me. I forget about it. I guess here we go though.
We were just
Ted
looking up
Lasso.
fun comedies to watch, and I managed to find this one, and I absolutely love it.
Honestly, it's weird that you give this to me because I feel honestly all I felt the last week is sad for Jason Sudeikis who got like blindsided by his fiance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We might talk about that. I don't know.
We
but
probably won't. This
you
will probably
made
be the
this-
one time we do.
Nick, you made the same exact tea joke that Ted Lasso makes in like the first episode. So when you did, I was like, oh no, did he watch it this week? Fuck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, Marcus, I am as funny as Jason Sudeikis. Thank you for saying
100%.
so.
You're as funny as a team of writers that wrote his line.
What a sweet, sweet thing to say. You're a sweet, sweet boy.
Thank you.
All right, Marcus, next week, I guess we are doing Ted Lasso. Guys, you can join us on the Twitch stream, twitch.tv/nowtrythis if you want to watch it live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. You can also catch us on all your podcast devices later on Monday. But also, you can join the conversation on Patreon, patreon.com/nowtrythis, where every fan that we have is giving us suggestions to try. And every month, we're going to do one of those tries. Don't you want to influence what thing we love or hate next month? Check us out.
I am so worried about February, and we'll see. Cabaret was a good one. I like talking about Cabaret. It was fun. It was kind of hard to watch the time that I watched it, but it was a good time, and I'm happy with that. So let's see. What
I'm
the
glad
fans
you
have
feel
for
that way
us
because
next
I was worried when it won. I was like, uh-oh.
month.
Marcus ain't gonna be happy, but I'm glad you
Yeah.
That's just a testament of how strong our friendship and how open of a person you are. Wow, everyone get you one like Marcus.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. That's the stream. Now go outside. No, go out there. I fucked up. Now go out there. I'm gonna
Marcus,
say the
I'll
line.
give you,
Hold on,
hold on,
take
I'll
two.
give you another one. I'll
Take
give you
two.
another one. I'll give you another. All right, and then you guys can follow us on everything at Now Try This Cast. Is that a good? You
Yeah,
want a
that was
cleaner
good.
one? Okay.
No,
Or
yeah,
do
give
you
me a
want-
third
yeah.
one.
Okay. Guys, that just about wraps up today's episode of Now Try This. You can follow us on everything at Now Try This Cast. Marcus.
That was louder and sexier. Thank you. I appreciate it. Guys, that was the podcast.
Thanks, hire me
Thank
for
you
all your
so
hosting
much
needs.
for listening, for watching, for subscribing, for all of the things. Now go out there and try some things. Good night.
Night, guys.
Two friends get together so that they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that they can try things. Nick and Marcus doing a podcast so that they can try this.
We can wait for your phone. Technology is on the whim of ours. We are not on the whim of technology. I can vamp until the cows come home. Do fancy people talk about cows? I do not know, but
Fancy
they
people
do
talk
today.
about cows all the time. It's
You know what's
honestly
my
the
favorite
best
thing
part.
about this outfit is, Mr. Lord Bordegas?
It's
It's
a man
these-
of mystery.
These nice ruffled sleeves that come out of the pennycoat. They are very nice.
I want to know, how much did that set you back? Because I feel like it's very
A gentleman never
nice.
discloses his finances in a public forum. That is something that you learn out
it's
in
high
the world,
quality.
such as I. This is my audition tape to Bridgerton season 2. I hope they see it and and give me a call because I think it's about time a Puerto Rican joined the Regency.
You know what? I agree.
Yeah, we all agree.